Lot of punching going on over there.
Check your mics. Think every.
Now we're going.
Now we're good. I don't know muted last week. When it gets noisy here. Sorry about that.
I don't have to start over. We all know what's happening here. Any changes, additions, corrections to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I do not have any personnel items on the back page, so you can delete that.
Delete that. Okay.
Is that one change, Mr. Chair? I'll move the agenda.
Is there support for that?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Carried. Approval of the consent agenda. Approve the minutes of March 12, 24. Approve commissioner warrants. Approve auditors warrants of March 15, 24, March 22, 24. Approve hospital warrants of $923,116.27.
Mr. Chair, I'd move for approval.
Thank you. Is there support?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried. 9:02, Kyle Cryer, Environmental Administrator.
Morning. Couple things for you this morning. First one's being the public land survey resolution. I think we previously talked about this. And I don't know if you guys have any questions or not, but basically this is the resolution that needs to be attached to the application for the public land survey grant. That we're requesting the $300,000 for Pipestone County. To acquire the money to corner sections and get them certified and then create a database on our mapping system that like. Any questions?
We're applying for 300. Does that necessarily mean we're gonna spend 300 or are we gonna?
Right now, talking with Dan, he's anticipating possibly doing 1 to 2 townships. I think he's gonna be putting in 2 townships. We're planning to do Grange and Gray, to start out. And that does not include any of the blacktop roads, so it's only the gravel roads where they would have to bore the concrete or the asphalt to get to those locates. He's anticipating that to cover the 2 townships, and the mapping. So life expectancy for the entire county to be completed is probably about 10+ years. Depending on if there's new monies that come, but this will only do a small portion of the county.
Mr. Chair, is he just gonna keep going until the money's spent though?
Yes. Yep. He's planning just to keep going until it's gone, but, there's a lot of unknowns. I mean, so there is no magic dollar amount on every corner locate. It's gonna vary from corner to corner based on conditions. So it's really a lot of variability up to the surveyor and how well things go.
If I remember right, the estimates were from 500 to 1,500 per month.
Yes.
That's a pretty big range.
Yep.
So we'll find out.
I'll move to approve resolution 59/12/24.
Thank you. Is there support for that? Thank you. Is there any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, same sign.
Don't quote me on this, but I believe I heard there was around 60+ applications, requesting about 16 million and there was 11 million available. So that's gives you an idea of there was,
Doesn't mean we're gonna get the whole 300. It could be.
well, you don't, and then they're gonna prioritize. There will be some counties that apply that don't get any money, so.
Thank you.
And then the next thing I have is the floodplain ordinance, updated floodplain ordinance for the Pipestone County. The mapping was redone by FEMA and DNR. That will be effective as of April 25th, I believe. And we're required to update our ordinance to stay eligible for flood, disaster declaration dollars. So basically it's a template like we had talked about earlier. Pretty much self-explanatory. It talks about, what's allowed, what's not allowed, but basically, if you're gonna do anything in the floodplain, building structures, they need to be raised up a foot above the flood elevation. And basically, there's no activities within the floodway. However, in the county, we don't have any distinction between the floodplain and the floodway. So all of our flood zones are gonna be treated basically the same.
Mr. Chair, I'd move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay.
Is there any
discussion.
changes to this from previous or?
There were, yep,
There were.
the mapping was done based on the LiDAR that was flown in 2011, so they had accurate elevation data for the floodplain mapping to be done. So the previous maps were just a shaded grade area along the streams that didn't have any elevations tied to them. The new maps have lateral lines with elevations and a precise meander about based on elevation for the new floodplain. So it's very much more accurate than the previous. It's all available online. It's digital. So it's very nice to utilize.
And
Kyle, this was that public hearing that we had when Army Corps of Engineers came down and presented the map, if I remember right.
Yes, yeah, we've had several meetings on
Right.
this.
Yeah, and there's they explained too, there's very small, minute changes in them.
Yep,
this comes as a recommendation from the planning commission.
correct. The planning commission held a hearing last Monday. We didn't receive any comments on the proposed hearing. And the recommendation from the planning commission was for the county board to approve the proposed ordinance.
Okay.
From here, after it's adopted, we will be publishing notice, making it available online. And then we should be all done with that part of it.
Yep. Okay, you ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Carried. Thanks,
All
Kyle.
I've got. Thanks.
Nick, are you up? Morning, Nick.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
All right, first up for me today, I just wanted to make you all aware that I was contacted by, I think it's the DOT actually, saying they're gonna update some railroad crossings in our county. The way I take it is it's just the signal arms and lights. I don't know if they're gonna have to cut up the roads or whatever, but that could change too. But I think there's one in Pipestone, one in Holland, one on a township road and one up by Ruthven, if I recall, but this could easily change. But I just wanted to make you aware if you hear something about it, that's what it is, so.
They take care of a certain amount of feet on each side of the railroad bed, right?
Like as far as fixing the pavement,
Yes.
they're maybe supposed to.
Supposed to. When I was on the township, we messed with some of it and we got in trouble.
Oh, yeah, you'll get in trouble if you
Get in
do
trouble if
anything
you
close
mess
to it.
You can't be there.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't
But
be
they
there.
won't, they don't fix their own.
About this.
Yeah. That's been our experience with it, so.
Okay.
Um,
Thank you for clarifying that.
so whatever, right or wrong, if we want it done, we probably have to do it ourselves and we have to get the permit to do it, but it's been our luck with it, I guess, but.
They usually cooperate pretty good though. You know, when you have to work on it,
If you,
they'll send a guy to watch the train thing and.
I feel like if it's minor work that we do ourselves and we contact a local guy, they'll usually just come out.
Yeah.
And it's pretty pain-free. But if we have a contractor do it, they have to get insurance and then they have to get a permit for that. And then it's a lot more complicated, but, that's been my experience with it anyway. Is that how it's always been?
Pretty
or-
much, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So, yep. Next update, our maintenance supervisor, Nate Stoll, is on an extended leave. And we did find somebody to backfill that spot. It's Phil Waldron. He's been with us a couple of years, I think, but sharp guy. I'm happy with that. Glad we found somebody interested to do it, so.
Is that the one that's been filling in for Nate before?
The intermittent one? Like the one like when Nate's gone for a weekend or
Yeah.
something? Nope, it's not that
Oh,
guy.
it's a different person.
Different guy. Yep,
Oh,
yep. So. Oh, so I just wanted to update you on that. We did get that filled, so that's good. Summer intern position, we had one applicant for that, thus far, and we were really happy with him. We waited a little bit longer, nobody else, so we offered him that position. Which is good because we're losing a technician, so timing couldn't have been better on that, so I'm thrilled with that.
he had a retirement.
that'll be coming too. So we'll be
Summary.
down two.
More than the retirement?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, one took a different job and one will be retiring probably within a year, so.
Okay.
So we're pretty hard up, so.
Summer intern is in the office area.
He will be.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to school for engineering technician right now. Beginning of May, I think he'll have his first year completed, so seemed really sharp in the interview. I'm optimistic that, maybe he'd want to stick around after that. He's from not far from Pipestone, I guess, so this is kind of home territory for him, so that'll be good.
He won't be just exclusively in the office. He'll be out in the field with the survey crew and so forth.
Yep. Oh, sorry, maybe I misunderstood that. Yeah, he'll be probably mostly outside, I'm guessing. We're usually outside in the summertime and in the office in the wintertime, so I would say due to the time of year, he'll probably spend the majority of his time outside, so.
Is he a student by any chance?
Yes, he's going to school at, I think, Southeast Tech for whatever that
Yeah.
is in Sioux Falls that offers the engineering technician program. So
How many years off from graduation is he?
it's a 2-year program, so he'll have year one completed in May. So in May of 24, so in May of 25, he'll be done, so things work out well and he's interested in coming back here. I may be back to talk about holding a spot for him, for when he's done his graduation, but we'll see how things go first and how the rest of it goes, so. But no, we needed the help and I'm really happy about that, so. Oh, I have to put you on the spot, Steve. Do we need official action for that?
The intern? Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'll entertain a motion that we hire a summer intern for the
We have a
highway
name?
department.
Man,
Their sport.
Made the motion,
Luke made
please.
the motion.
Luke?
Doug supported it.
You?
And he'll be starting when?
we don't really have a date yet, sometime in the middle of May. I just asked when he was done with school. I should have asked when he was available, not when he's done with school, if he's got to move out of an apartment or something. I don't know, but it'll be sometime around mid-May, so.
We can update the board when you get that data.
Yep, there you go.
Fine. What's his last name? Cole
ANN.
Coleman?
Yep.
Hey, Coleman.
Okay, more discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That carries.
Next up for me, be an update on County Road 17. I have done some research on that project. As you recall, we had that request to do, our suggestion to do just the north mile instead of all 6. It seems to be that I think our longtime blade operator down there said the same thing. The only problems he really remembers is in the north mile, so I think we're just gonna tile the north mile then. If I hear anymore that it doesn't hardly cost anymore to do the other 5, maybe we'd reconsider, but as of right now, I think I'm just planning on the north mile, so.
Nick, have you considered just digging some test holes in some of those other spots to see how much gravel there is?
We certainly can. We have the drill on our skid steer, Doug brought that up to me and just timing hasn't worked out great for us to do that. We're pretty shorthanded right now in the maintenance part, but
But you wouldn't start that tiling project until midsummer anyway, would you?
it could be earlier than that. We have some overlays coming out of that pit first, but we put on the gravel job that they have to they can't be doing the gravel project while the overlays are going on, because I think it would be a safety issue having all that traffic on that road and yeah, but it could be shortly thereafter, so this could be this could be going on in June, I guess, so early June or late May maybe, but.
I'll comment. I'm kind of with Dan though. Test holes would be great just to know for sure what's under there. I mean, we're guessing a little bit there.
Okay, that's, we'll make it a point to do that.
And you only one every half a mile, it's probably fine.
Yeah.
Just to make sure. So,
Yep. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong in doing that to make sure, I guess, like the local input I got and operator recollection or whatever makes me comfortable that that's what we're gonna find, but we'll still do it. That's fine.
It's nice to actually see what's.
Yeah,
for
no,
sure.
there's nothing wrong with that at all. So,
Did you have some local input about the tar portion of County 17?
yep. Yep,
So did
I
I.
got requested to pave that,
So did I.
the local part where it's rough. Yep. That's been on our,
We know about it. It's just.
yeah,
Get them signed.
all I've talked about this massive load of overlays that we have due like right now, you know, and it's just kind of unfortunate how they all got done. We have more miles that need to be paved right now than we have available funds to do it, but it's not very uniform, our workload on overlays. It's kind of, there's a big bump, you know, like a roller coaster bump. And that's what we're in right now, but if this is more uniform, that one would have been done by now, but I think we'll probably end up, there's a ride issue there, you know, the cracks are really bad, so I think we'll just end up milling the entire width of the road there, and that'll go a long ways for fixing that up. So, there are products out there we could do to kind of fill the cracks now, but you know, one would be our crack filler, but that's, you don't want to put that down before an overlay, because then when you overlay it, it'll make a bump there, so it'll have the opposite effect. So we don't want to do that. So we'll do a little bit more in-depth repair there when the time comes. Next item for me would be the overlay for the city of Woodstock. They had heard how things went for Island, and they wanted to try to jump on with our project too. It's a great thing to do, I think, for them. They get a lot better pricing that way. So a couple of questions that I have for the board, would be if we want to require some type of repayment agreement before we do that work. Could possibly require payment upfront. As far as Island goes, they had been talking to us for years ahead of that project. They wanted an idea of how much it's gonna cost them, so they could start levying a little bit every year to save up for it. Somehow, somewhere along the line, we just spaced off the thought of having an agreement with them. If I did that over, I think that's the proper way to do it, but I think that should be the board's call, though. As far as payment up front, I don't know that we necessarily need that. I think some of it's grant money, so I don't know if they even could do that, but you know, I like to try to treat everybody fair, but since we didn't do anything for Island, so I want to bring that to your attention, but I would call that more of an oversight on our part. I would have recommended that. Had it dawned on me earlier, but
Well, I would say the agreement would be something that should do in case something goes sideways or something.
Yep, I agree.
Well, just to alleviate any misunderstanding.
Yeah.
If it's in writing, it's easily understood. In regards to the payment up front, again, like you said, they're working off of grants and so forth, and
I don't know if they can do that even.
exactly, and we know that funding sometimes is not really quick in coming.
Correct.
It's not like we're ever gonna get stiffed from them. They will pay us eventually, so I don't see an issue with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's your call, not mine. I would probably do the agreement and not require an upfront payment. And you know, I'd model it after what we've done with Pipestone for their trail grants before. It'd be far less complicated than that because there's one item here, you know, but it's not
How
federal.
formal a wording are you thinking in that agreement?
Do you have a template for something like that?
I would take one of the ones that we did with the city of Pipestone and I would just simplify it to what we have for items here, you know,
We need any action or?
like those trail agreements, they got, sorry. Those trail agreements we did with Pipestone, you know, there was federal money there and there was a lot of other things that had to be done for design, you know, who's taking care of this part, who's taking care of that part. This is gonna be a lot more straightforward than that. It's pretty much just gonna be them saying they'll repay us for,
Cause there's not federal money involved.
not on this one, no. Next year, we're doing a job through Woodstock. It would have,
On 18,
yeah, but that's federal.
Right.
And if they hopped on with that, it might push us into a different category for the amount of work. Or there's different federal thresholds. They probably would have had to update all their sidewalk and everything to ADA standards, and I think I looked into it, and then I think their storm sewer had to get examined, and it was gonna get crazy expensive for them if we did it that way, so this is by far the cheapest way for them to do it.
Right, that sounds good.
I don't know if I need
Do
action.
you have
I
enough
mean,
direction?
Just direction, and then I'll bring the agreement back. The board will have to approve that, and then we'll. Okay, I'll just do that.
You let me know if you want me to go to their council or whatever,
Okay, I haven't,
if you have an agreement, ready.
Did they sign it before we do, or?
I would assume so.
Mhm.
yeah, I
That
don't
would be-
know if it
that'd be the
really
correct
matters.
order?
Okay, we will, get something put together and sent out to them, so. Okay, well, that's it for me for now. I have a bid opening, but that's at 10:30.
Did you have some adjustment on that aggregate tax?
Oh, shoot, I missed that. Sorry, good catch. Yeah, Dallas's comment about the aggregate tax got me thinking, and like, I know we said 330 for that comparison price, but I need to look up, or I think I should look up how much of that aggregate tax would come back to us, and I should adjust this number by that amount. So if that's okay with you, that's what I'll do, because I know we had talked about 330, and then I didn't want you to see a number that was slightly different and think.
Didn't we check last time? It was at
15
17,
cents,
15?
15 cents.
15 cents.
In tons or yards, I don't remember what's what, but I would look that up and I would adjust this number by whatever directly comes
Oh,
back to
wasn't it?
us.
So it was 15
15 cents per,
ton.
yeah.
So then you would deduct that from this?
Yeah, I would adjust this number by whatever we get back from that. So I mean, it's the same principle that
Right.
what we decided, but I missed that, so I need to correct that, so.
Okay.
I just wanted to let you know, it'll be a little bit different than what we had discussed, but no, thanks for catching that. All right, I think that's all I have then for now. Any other questions for me? Otherwise, I'm gonna hang around waiting for bids and then stick around for the bid opening.
Snow plows out, or?
Yep.
You thought winter was done.
I feel like every March or April, we always get a nasty one, so.
Basketball tournament season.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think they went out at 5:30 this morning, so. So they've got half a day in already, right?
May 1st is the last snow that I've seen. Couple times.
Couple times.
At least it wasn't as much as they thought.
No, it
I
wasn't.
mean, some forecasts were for much more.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big time. I had mainly rain at my place. I didn't hardly get any snow until last night. I woke up to a bunch this morning, but I don't know if that blew in or fell on me or what, but.
So with the added moisture and the frost, so it might tear up our gravel a little
Good.
bit, yeah.
Good, they were in good shape. We'll see after
See
the.
how how it looks next week.
Yep. Yeah, it has to be in a week. I'll have a better idea. So. Well, sounds good. I'll hang around here for the bid opening.
You haven't heard anything about bad weather for the bid opening that changes the video?
I would say 80% or better of our box culverts go to the same two contractors. I have one of them in my briefcase. I'm gonna go up and check, see if the other one's in. So nobody's called complaining, like they want to submit it.
We all made it in, so.
Yeah, I think they'll be okay, but.
Thank you.
Yep.
Harry, are we ready for you?
Not.
Plug in.
Should be able to make that work.
Good morning. Morning to you.
Why not? It's playing for some reason. All right.
Love it when it works.
Yeah. I'm just here to talk a little bit about the grant that we were awarded and give you guys updates on our timelines and that kind of stuff and when we're gonna start, when we're hoping to be completed, different options that are gonna come for the residents. So here's the letter that was sent to us, I guess, March 5th, we were awarded the grant. There was 50 million for the border to border grant, but only 20 million for the low density program. And that's the one we had applied for this area. And we were one of 8 awards in the state. So we feel fairly fortunate or lucky or whatever you want to call it. But, so yeah, this was the letter that was sent to us. It's a $2 million expenditures to Woodstock. And then, the remaining portion was going to be, I'm sorry, 2 million, in grant. Yeah. And then, the rest was going to be covered by Woodstock and by the county.
Gary, you mentioned the border to border. Are we still eligible to apply for that as well?
This was the border to border. Yes, this was the border to border grant.
Not the low density.
That's a portion of the border.
I
to
see.
border.
I
Yeah,
thought
there's
it was
2.
separate ones. It's just a
Nope,
portion, but-
it's the border to border grant, but then there's 30 million for the normal border to border and 20 for the low density portion of it. So it's kind of broke out into 2 parts now. This page here is just another breakout they sent to us, but we're on the bottom. Talks a little bit about the program, and like I said, these aren't all 8 of them, but we were one of 8 in the state that were awarded the grants. This is a picture of the area that we had applied for. I know we had shown you guys this, but it's an area east of Pipestone, to include the Hatfield area, and it'll bring it all the way up to our existing exchange of the Holland and the Woodstock exchanges. So it would kind of cover that entire area and get us all the way to the edge of town of Pipestone.
So all the blue then will be
The
new.
blue is the new area, yes. Yep. Yep. So yeah, it kind of encompasses the southern side of Highway 23 all the way to Pipestone, and then it's just south of the Hatfield area.
Got one lateral going to the west quite a ways there. That's
Yes, yeah, we have a tower, wireless tower over in that area. You're talking up on the north side. Yeah, that is also a tower that we feed over there.
right north of Pipestone.
Yep. So we will use that eventually for a trunk line when we build that northern portion.
And then down by Trotsky, then there's a tower there as well. too.
There is, yes. Yep. So yeah, both those will be trunk lines that feed.
There's a tower by Island in there.
There is, but that one is not fiber fed. That
Oh, it isn't.
points back to the one by Trotsky.
Okay.
So, and the pink areas are areas we're building this year over in Slayton and Lake Sarah area, area. And those were also grant areas that we were. Project timeline, some of this is tentative to change, of course, but we were awarded on the 5th. We do not have a contract yet with the state that's supposed to be coming. I would guess by the end of April, we should have that in place. We will start engineering, designing it this fall, late summer, fall. It's kind of our goals. Hoping to have it designed and everything ready to go by January. We can start permitting in December. That'll take, depending on what type of permitting we need. If you guys are talking railroads, if there's railroads, they do what they want. It just takes time. DNR permits, there'll be a few of them. State highways, there'll be some of that too. So there'll be anywhere from 3 to 6 months worth of permitting. Hoping to go to bid, around January 1st, somewhere in there. And then, award the project February timeframe. So then we would be ready to start, spring, probably not right away in the spring. We got to finish up a job we're on over in, the Slayton area, but then I would say by August 1st of next summer, we should be going on the project. With 90% of it completed in 2025. We'll have a few cleanup items, once we get to spring of 26. Contractor comes back around to make sure everything is good, everything's seated right. Tile cut, things like that. We'll be back to clean that all up. And we'll start hooking customers up in December. And that'll go on through the winter months. That's kind of our winter projects, our wiring in houses and things like that. So yeah, we're excited about it.
Here, I see you're not gonna you order the supplies until after you've awarded the contract. Apparently you don't have any concerns about supply chain.
Supply chain has come back in line. We're talking 4 to 6 weeks for most of it now. And the reason we don't typically order the supplies, the contractor typically orders the supplies. They have, they order in bulk so they can get much better pricing than what we can order ourselves. So, once the contractor's awarded the project, he goes ahead and orders the supplies. And typically they have, hundreds of miles of cable ordered in the spring, so they have a lot of inventory on hand. It just works better if they order it.
How many contractors generally do you work with, or what's the pool of labor out there for this?
We have 3 or 4 contractors that will bid this too. We don't bid it just to anybody. I guess we kind of keep our select 3, 4 contractors. But this project will be awarded to one. And they'll do the project, and then like the drops going from the roads to the houses, we do that typically ourselves. We like the local contact, having, us meeting with the customers so they know who they're dealing with. We don't want an outside contractor
Up on people's yards.
in people's yards and, making the contacts. So that's typically the way we do it.
Chairman Terry, at what point we'll need the county funding?
What we typically do is as we complete or as we move forward in the project, when we pay for a project, we pay for the project, then we get reimbursed from the state.
Okay.
And what we'll do, the same thing with you guys. I think we'll take the 12.5% or whatever it was that we had agreed in the contract. At monthly, we'll just send you a bill for that. It won't be all at one time. It'll be as the project goes on, you'll just pay for the 12.5% up to the dollar amount that we had agreed on. That way you guys have records of what you paid for and you can see where the dollars went.
Good, thank you.
On the marketing side of things, we'll begin that this fall. We'll send out flyers to everybody, just notifying them that we're gonna be coming. Kind of directing them on, to notify us, that type of thing, or to call us. We need the customer's contact information so we can eventually go to the house, talk to them where we're gonna dig, and get them signed up. So we'd like to bring initially to the locations that want service. We will bring it to every house. If there's customers that don't want it, of course, we won't at that time. And there is no charge for the customers to hook up. It's all, it's free install all the way up into the house. They'll just start with their monthly service charge. And like I said, we do want to talk to each homeowner where we want to bring service to. Once we have that contact information, then our engineer on staff will go and meet with the homeowners and discuss with them any concerns they have or where we want to bring the fiber to. And yeah, we do want the customers to call in to us. That way we have their contact information for when the time comes to dig. So just works best that way.
What was the resident count again you were thinking of in this area?
Around 120, I believe, ballpark. Some of just the products that we have, I guess, and this is our intent for pricing. We're gonna keep it the same of what we have everywhere else. That way it's uniform pricing for us. We have a basic at 100 meg. And when we sell it as 100 meg, we get symmetrical speed. So it's 100 down and 100 up. A lot of providers, they'll cut that up speed to 3 meg to 10 meg, something like that. So we do symmetrical speeds on all of our packages up to a gig. We do have a managed Wi-Fi service. It's a $7.99 service. And then we also have an enhanced, which comes with apps for full parental controls. Also an app for whole home protection for intrusions, because many of the devices such as cameras and baby monitors, all that stuff, that's how a lot of the intrusions are being made nowadays is coming through devices that really don't have the protection on them. And we can add additional mesh units, which are basically a booster for large homes or tough to reach areas in the house. And then we also have we have devices that can turn up a full yard for Wi-Fi and, just outdoor areas in people's yards that they want.
Remote office,
What's that?
remote office.
Yeah, yep. Yep, we do a lot of that.
What speeds do most consumers need or use?
Uh,
I realize it depends on their operation. and so
on what they're doing. Most of them take the two base, the two lower packages, the 100 meg and 250, just mainly because of price. That's probably the main factor. But if they're gaming and things like that, if you have kids gaming, you're gonna need to bump up to the 75 or the $100 packages. A few other products that we do have the basic telephone plans for residents that want that. And we also do business offerings. We'll put in full VoIP hosted systems for large businesses. We've done a lot of schools. We've done a lot of other large businesses with 40 or 50 phones in the business. So we're able to do that. It gives them free long distance to all 48 states. All of our plans do. And it comes with the full range of features as typical telephone does with voicemail, caller ID, you name it. It's got all the features on it. As far as video, we do not actually provide our own TV service, the old traditional cable TV. We've gone away from that and we just offer the broadband, and we do some education to the customers on what's available out there. We have things on our website where you can click on and it'll ask you what services you like or what channels you like, and it'll kind of point you in that direction to sign up. But we have a lot of customers that use the direct stream. I use that myself. YouTube TVs, Hulu Lives, Fubo, Sling, there's all sorts of options out there. They are mobile, which is one nice thing, and there are no contracts. So we push people to use those options. The key to those is good broadband, I guess. So if you have good broadband, you can use those services. And then as far as any future grants going forward in the county, EAD is the infrastructure program under the Biden administration that was announced 3 years ago. 42.5 billion for broadband in the nation. Minnesota is going to receive $650 million. Good and bad. We don't know yet when it's going to start. There's been a lot of delays in it. We were hoping by now we would know, but we do not yet. We're hoping some announcements Q4 of this year. And this will focus mainly on unserved areas, which that's one of the debated items is what's considered an unserved area. Under the BEAD program, licensed wireless is a competitor. Well, if that's the case, Pipestone County doesn't have any areas that are eligible. And that's one thing that Minnesota, let me click to the next page here. Each state has to get their own plans approved, and that's what's taken so long, is each state has their own separate plan. Minnesota's trying to run it like their border to border program, which would take out the wireless competitors. But we don't know if the NTIA is going to allow that yet. So that's been the delays, is getting the Minnesota plans approved. The first round was sent in. There was two proposals. The first one was sent in, sent back with a bunch of red lines, so they have to change some things on that. And now they've sent in the second one and waiting to hear back if those changes are approved. Once the program is announced, they have 1 year to administer the grant, 3 rounds in 1 year. So there's gonna be 650 million dumped on the state at one time. That's a little scary. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of decisions need to be made in 1 year with that. So, some of the unknowns, we don't know if the wireless providers yet are going to be able to challenge. If they do, Pipestone County, Murray County, all these counties are not eligible because Midco has a licensed wireless product that they say covers everybody. And we know better, but that's the mapping, that's what it shows.
The areas where you've got towers and you've got a little bit of a hybrid system, so is that part of it considered wireless or?
No,
It isn't.
that is not,
Because
because we
that
are an
fiber.
unlicensed, we use an unlicensed frequency. And we don't offer 100 megs and faster on there. They're all claiming they do. So that's the main holdup in the state right now, is trying to determine what the rules are. The other thing that's become an issue in the last couple weeks is a labor law that is trying to be pushed through up at the legislature right now, and that's what I've been up, and a few other guys been up trying to educate the legislators on why we feel that's a bad law. They want us to have to use union labor for these projects going forward, which does a few things. It increases costs by about 30%. And it kind of eliminates some of the contractors we can use. So we think that's bad for our industry. But we're still waiting to hear on that.
So is this more than with the union labor? Is this more than the Davis-Bacon Act?
Well,
It's kinda-
it has to do with the Davis-Bacon Act, yes. But then they would also have to follow some of the union training. And they would have to be. Yeah, they'd have to follow all the union rules, and they'd have to be a union organization of some sort too, so. And then there's 2 weeks of training that they have to pay the people for every year. So yeah, it really complicates things. Much more reporting requirements. It just gets really messy with all of that. Plus, like I say, there's about 30% less you're gonna get done if you have to use union labor.
Then with the Minnesota Department of Labor, with their licensing then for technicians, does that part of that as well too, or is it still considered utility?
No, the contractors would have to have, yeah, they would have to be part of the union.
Yeah. Low voltage licensed technicians.
Yep. The unions are really pushing this because we typically don't use union labor. Just because of the cost that it adds to our projects. But their claims are we're unsafe, we're not trained, all that kind of stuff. So we are up there trying to fight it. I don't know if we're gaining anything, but we're trying. So
This is just a state proposal?
yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Talk to our local.
Yes,
legislators.
our locals are not the problem.
Yep.
It's the, more of the ones in the metro area. Those are the issues. Our local representatives totally understand where we're coming from. They agree with us, but they're not in the majority. So that's where the struggle is.
I wonder through AMC if we would have any influence at all.
And with the union, yeah, we're doing a union job right now in Slayton. It's a federal grant, and there are no categories for our industry. So we're forced to try to pick and choose which, like a splicer. There is no category for a splicer. So we have to try to pick and choose, is it a construction worker, road worker, something like that? And we picked one, so then they came back a few months later. We were apparently using the wrong one, so then we had to go back and adjust wages, and it gets to be a nightmare for us because I send some employees over to work on a union job. I have to pay those employees for those hours, union wages. Well, they're all fighting who gets to go work on that job. My secretaries want to go and run the shovel for the day. It's be kind of a internal nightmare. And yeah, there's so many things we don't know yet. We don't know when it's gonna be approved. We don't know what the timeline for completion is. We're thinking it's 4 years, but there is talk of them extending that to 6 years. Louisiana they were the first state to have their plan approved. But now the NTIA is coming back and changing portions of the plan for them. So Minnesota's in a little bit of a let's drag our feet mode and wait until they get the rules all set on this. Yeah, they're trying to push the program out, but it's not ready yet, so. That one's up for debate if we'll be applying for it or not. We're hoping so. We're ready if they come out with the rules, we have things in place. So, if we know more, if things work out the way we do, we are planning to apply for it. More to come on that. And really, that's all I had today, I guess.
That's our goal as a county too, to apply for grants as they're available
Yep.
and finish the rest of the county.
Yep.
So appreciate the work you're doing so far and the time you spent up with the cities.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time up there.
So with this first phase then of our project, so it'll be done sometime in 25.
Yes.
thereabouts. Once it's completed, with what your existing facilities are and these new facilities, what percentage of the county do you think will be covered?
You have to be close to half, I would say.
Good news. So then with that next round then of grants coming then from the Fed, the BEAD grants, hopefully that'll get us a little bit further.
Yes. Yep.
Another 25. It depends on what money's available, 25%.
Absolutely. Yeah, we don't know what the stipulations are on it. As far as how big of a grant we can apply for, if it's limited to so many dollars, kind of like the low density was. So some of that we'll learn once they bring the rules out.
What I really like and appreciate is that this is an attainable goal. We're not
Yeah.
talking about something 10, 15, 20 years from now. This is something that's gonna happen in the immediate time frame, in the near time frame.
Yes, yep, near future. Yep.
When do we click over from underserved to mostly served?
Well, it depends on which rules we're going
Same with
by.
everything else. huh?
If you take into consideration the wireless that Midco and LTD are providing in the claim, according to the FCC and the NTIA, we're covered. Minnesota is served, or Pipestone County is served. But according to the state, we're not.
And it's-
Depends on who has the power.
Depends which grant you're going for. state or
Yeah,
federal,
that's
correct?
right, yep. And the state, they get the money for the BEAD, but they have to follow the federal rules. So,
Have you heard anything about there may be some 90% money available coming up?
there was talk of that. I just, my only concern with that is once this program is sent out, I don't know if there's gonna be another border to border program. The 90% that you're talking about is for the border to border. Once the BEAD money comes in, there's no plans for future border to border.
I see.
If there is down the road, yes, there could be some 90% money. But we won't know that, they won't put any more money in the border to border program until they see what happens with BEAD.
Know what the rules are. and-
Yep, and how far it'll go.
Sure.
That's up for debate yet too, because if we have to start using union labor and all that, that adds 30%. Basically, you get 30% less done in the state.
Right.
Yeah, ballpark.
I hope people don't infer that the discussion about Davis-Bacon, union labor and so forth, it's not that you aren't paying your people livable wages.
Yeah,
It's just a whole different thing.
Yeah, and that was our argument against it. Well, they come back with the safety issue that we aren't safe. And then they come back with we're not paying employees and contractors a worthy wage. And we're bringing in contractors from who knows where. Well, that's just not the case. We use specific contractors. And there's the Minnesota Telephone Association, which we are members of. There's 40 some companies and we all basically do the same thing. There's a handful of contractors we all use. We don't bring contractors in from other states. And they're bid fairly. And they're very safe. Our safety rate is well below OSHA standards. So, we have brought those arguments to the legislators. I'm not sure if that makes a difference or not. The votes are already, they know who has what for votes, so. But yeah, we feel we pay fair wages. Our employees are treated well. And yeah, of course, everybody wants more money, but, we think they're treated fair. So, and our contractors, they're all happy too. So they bid on these jobs. And yeah,
And this is nothing new. I had the same thing years ago and I did utility work as well too.
Yep.
And probably work with some of the same contractors you're working with
Sure.
now. And there's some great contractors
Yeah.
out there do underground.
Yeah.
And yes, they're safe.
yeah, they're very safe. And I mean, there's shady contractors out there, yes, and we're aware of who they are. We just don't let them bid on our stuff.
Yep.
Or if they do, we just kind of throw them to the bottom of the list because we just don't want that quality of work.
And watch them much closer. You
Yeah.
don't trust them.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the update I have for you guys. If you have any more questions, I guess, or,
Anybody else have any questions for Terry?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming and thanks for
Bet.
all your work.
Harry, can you send me a copy of your slide deck, please?
Sure
I'll
will.
share that with the media.
Yep.
Thank you. Put it in my folder too.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the report.
You got something to fill, 8 minutes?
No, sir.
Let's take a
not.
recess till 10 o'clock. We have a time sensitive abatement hearing public hearing at 10 o'clock, so. Oh, we got it. Figured you guys. So I figured just want to use it. Public hearing, Amanda.
Good morning.
Morning, Amanda.
All right. Public hearing for the abatement from Lloyd's work that we received.
Request a motion second.
Everything in order on
To
the
open the meeting.
paperwork?
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'll move that we open the public hearing for the tax abatement.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
right.
All opposed, same sign. We are now in a public hearing.
All right, so you've been copies of the application and the documents that were submitted with that application showing house plans and building permits and the estimated value on the property or on the house, and that's on the house only. There was existing property before. Estimated annual abatement amount would be $1,264 per year, and that would be for 3.
Anybody have any questions?
And I guess just a clarification again, because it is the Zort family that's the contractor. And again, he's passing these savings on to the eventual buyers of the home, correct?
That's up to the tax people.
Yeah.
He built one last year that's not sold yet, so.
So how the procedure works is these applications come in and then they are approved or denied depending on that. And then the assessor's office will monitor and then no payments get made until the assessor's office deem it 100% complete. And then they will provide then the values at the end of the year. And then that's what we use to figure those payments. Obviously, what we give you is just an estimate and it's based on current tax rates, not necessarily actually paid out because we use the rates that are in effect on those years. But generally, with what we have seen, these type of properties are sold by the time they are, the payments go out. But
So if not sold, the payment goes to the contractor.
Go to whoever, whoever is the owner of the property, which generally is the person that pays the tax on it.
And it's transferable to the next owner.
Yep, yep. So on my spreadsheet, I always kind of keep who the applicant was or the owner at the time of application, and then I have a column for current owner, and that's who actually would get the payment.
And that stays in the spirit of what we intended with this tax abatement in the first place, is to help promote new construction. So working out.
And they actually make the payment first and then it's reimbursed at,
Yes,
end of the year.
absolutely. And only the county portion
Right.
is what is reimbursed. So they have to pay their tax, be in good standing in order to get the abatement. The abatement gets paid out at the end of the year.
He must be optimistic if he's building another one. Any other questions? Entertain a motion to approve tax abatement.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Okay, is there support? Supported by Luke. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Carried.
And do we need to move back out of the public hearing?
Yep,
Okay,
yes, we do.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we close the public hearing on tax abatement.
There's support for that.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Right.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
Do we have a 10-10?
Yes, we do.
Good.
She's gonna come in on Zoom. Well, let's see if she's here yet. Hope this works correctly.
I have a cousin Mary spelled that way.
This lady is from NIS. What does NIS stand for? You know,
National Insurance Services. Actually has a connection to Pipestone.
interesting.
Assuming my Zoom works. I signed in as myself, so it should be working. That's how I set it up.
Does she work out of the metro area or she?
She works from home, not exactly where that is, but
Mailing address Hiawatha Avenue, Pipestone. That's ours, I think. Nice try, huh?
Field, Wisconsin address on the front page.
Where is MCIT at any longer on coverage for cyber events?
I thought they had that listed in here.
it's still there.
Yeah,
It's kind of minimal though.
It is, it's so expensive too that they can't really do reinsurances on it either.
No.
500,000 per claim, annual aggregate, deductible 10,000 per claim. But then it has it broke down into different categories and the most any of them is 250,000. Otherwise, there's several that are 100,000. But that wouldn't amount to much if you had a big incident.
Yeah. I told Beth that Health and Human Services, I wanted more information on the Green Consortium.
yeah.
They just printed it out.
Yeah.
No wonder I don't understand.
It's hard to comprehend. Really.
Well, I wanted to kind of read it over, but
That'll be great
That's
for
something
some
to
time
do.
here.
Snowstorm reading.
Planning to go to sleep.
yeah,
and
yeah. I didn't expect that much.
She did make it to work today. Maybe she didn't make it to work today.
Oh, this gal, she can do it from home. Do CPT from home yesterday, I suppose.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want her to drive up there.
No, no, actually, there was only one person that made it in person. It was
Oh, really? Was it?
Bob Fitsky and then Paul did, so. But yeah, everybody else did it on Zoom, so. I started that right away. I'm like, well,
Oh, no.
and on the forecast, I think it was switched to Zoom.
Got a little worse going that way, didn't it?
I think so, yeah.
We still had our PACE and our Rural Minnesota Energy Board yesterday afternoon in Slayton. And the guys that came from over east said they just had rain. It's just us here to the west that had a lot of.
Drive to Brandon yesterday morning, but and back. Wasn't really too bad. It was worse from, really it was worse from Highland to Pipestone.
Yeah,
Kind of improved. I mean, it wasn't great, but it really wasn't too bad.
we had 5 people in person. Slayton, everybody else.
We don't have a phone in here, so.
Be there.
Me. We need to invite her again. I had it set up for her in a. I don't have email set up in this unit here, so it's.
You can text her that code.
Sorry.
Hey, Mari, Steve Ewing in Pipestone, how you doing?
Hey, good. How about you?
Good. Have you tried to log into our Zoom?
Yeah, cause need to wait until 10:30 today.
Yeah, we can come in a little earlier if you got time.
Oh, sure. Okay, let me just note.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
you bet. I'm gonna stay here. I just want to make sure it's working so that I did it right.
Just 1 second. Yeah, let me pull it up.
We'll give you a code, if you wanna log out of that, and we'll give you a code to join with. You logged out of that meeting?
Recording in progress.
Hi, everyone.
Morning.
I just need to get Laura on here and then we will get going here. How's everyone today on a blistery morning?
Good, how are you?
Good. And am I able to share my screen as well here?
Yes, should be able to. We should be able to see it here.
Okay, let me try. Okay, can everybody see that okay?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, sounds great. Thank you so much for calling me and letting me know that you guys started early. I have Laura joining. I just texted her and gave her the code to get in. So if it's okay, just give her a minute to hop on.
That's where you can see that.
She's just trying to get logged on here, so I apologize about the wait.
Oh, that's fine.
Steve, do you see her joining at all?
No, I don't yet.
Okay.
Usually like when you joined, we heard something, the person waiting to join.
Okay.
Okay, we see her now. All right, she's coming in now.
Okay, perfect.
Yep, we're all here now.
Well, thanks everyone for your patience while we got joined on. I appreciate it. I'm Mari Wagner. A lot of you may know me. I live in Pipestone, Minnesota, and obviously reside in the county of Pipestone. We have Laura on here as well, and she works for Synergy and a partner of Assured Partners, which I work and is a partner with. And we approached the county back in November, and we have the presentation that we will go over what we went through back in November. And Laura has just some updated terms and things like that to go over, but we'll just kind of briefly go through everything so you can hear what we had gone through back then. So I'll have introductions, market update, current coverages, quote results, and quote displays, and then finally carrier recommendation. We had the introductions already, so I will go ahead and skip this page. But market update, we do want to spend a little bit of time on this particular page because there's a lot of things going on in the cyber world, and just making sure that we are educating on that as we go along in this journey. Businesses are getting hit harder and more often. 95% of cybersecurity breaches are the result of human error. Multiple users access those systems. Coverage will be harder to find. The application process is onerous and will only become worse. Required security protocols will be extensive and expensive and getting worse. That is one thing that we found with working with a lot of the counties, is that the security protocols that need to be implemented before a consideration of a policy can even be put into place. Endorsements on PNC policies do not provide enough coverage. And you can see that fully. We'll get into that in a little bit when we look at the MCIT policy and coverages here shortly. IT budgets are limited. Claims frequency increased 12% in the first half of 23. And we'll see here the next couple specific claims are all in the first half of 23 of what they're based off of. So ransomware claims costs entities $20 billion annually. It's the largest driver of increase in claims frequency. 19% of reported claims in the first half of 23. Ransomware claims severity reached a record high in the first half of 23 with an average loss of more than $365,000. Average demand in the first half of 23 was $1.62 million, which is a 47% increase in the last 6 months. Then moving on to the funds transfer fraud claims, that is increased by 15%. Severity increased by 39% with an average loss of $297,000. There's growing sophistication of threat factors in accounts longer. And then business email compromise, also known as your BEC claims, the severity increased by 42% in the first half of 23 with an average loss of $115,000. So we talked briefly about the current coverages through MCIT, and you can see there that you have 500,000 per claim, which is also an annual aggregate. So you can have one or multiple claims throughout the year, but the most they're going to pay out is $500,000. The deductible or retention amount is $10,000. But moving on to the next page, that's the part where we noticed with the county that they only have a $10 million annual aggregate for the whole program. So all 81 out of the 87 counties in Minnesota have a $10 million annual aggregate limit. So who gets those funds in the event that multiple counties get hit all at once? Getting into the quote results, and again, this is back in November that we had done. Laura did go back to do the market update here and found the same results, but we had 5 carriers respond with 4 carriers providing quotes, and some of them do include some contingencies, and I'll let her get into that here shortly. But you can see there we have quotes from Coalition, Cowbell, CFC, and HCC. And each one of them came back with different liability limits, different retention or deductible amounts, and then obviously the amounts that are due on that. So I'm just going to pause here and ask if there's any questions to this point. Oh, okay. I will keep going. All right, so The next portion, getting into there, I do have some of the contingencies on each of the carriers that had responded. And we can get into a little bit more in detail if you guys have questions about them here in a little bit. But we want to get into the quote displays themselves. And one of the things that Coalition does is provide a risk assessment. And I'm going to turn it over to Laura, and she can kind of go through that with you guys, and then we can go from there.
Good morning. So Coalition is a carrier that provides a lot of upfront risk management that they put out available to the world, as opposed to you can get a kind of a baseline scan no matter who you are, but you can get a more in-depth scan when you're obtaining a quote. Many carriers are allowing these types of scans, and they will release them, but they will only do so for an actual policy holder. So Coalition is one of the carriers that will actually allow us to release it up front with a quote, which is why we provide that for all the counties, but also Coalition provided the best terms for Pipestone, so that is why it's definitely included here. This one is from the original presentation in November, so any items that are in it are probably been remedied if there's any signals that showed any type of negative results. But you actually scored very well. The main thing that is to be of note here is this portion that talks about the risk profile. So this is just data that Coalition grabs and helps to illustrate what type of losses you might see in the industry, as well as showing like limits of what they call peer organizations. So in that middle section there, you see estimated loss based on your organization's risk profile. This is a part that is pretty important to take note of, because you can see like an average claim is 342,000, and then a more severe type of claim that could be what we would consider one in every 10 years is just over 2 million. So you can see that those more catastrophic claims have a higher amount to them, but we are actually seeing them. The funds transfer fraud, this would be a claim that I would love to see go away in our world, because it feels like there could be just simple controls that would help remedy this. However, as we talked about, the threat actors are getting more and more sophisticated, and therefore the phishing scams that are coming into the inboxes of employees are becoming more and more sophisticated, and people are still falling victim to them. We highly recommend that your team, just ensure that all of the funds that are being transferred go through dual authentication to ensure it's going to the right place, and any changes be called and verified before any transfers are done. But you can see an average claim there is just under 170,000, with $1 million being a more severe claim. We do see those. I say the funds transfer fraud I see come across my desk all the time, and this is very valid amounts. I'll tell you that in the industry right now, most carriers are only providing 250,000 in funds transfer fraud. Some of them are only providing 100,000 without review of controls. And then there's a couple carriers that will provide 500,000 with like a managerial approval in their underwriting team. So you can see when a carrier starts to sublimit the amount that they're willing to put up in a specific area, it's because they're significantly paying out in this area. And I'm sure everybody knows insurance is a for-profit industry, and so they're going to charge appropriate premium and give limits that they can still turn a profit for their shareholders. So that's the industry we're in. I would just like to kind of pause here and see if you have any specific questions on that. Mari, if you want to scroll down just a little bit, it shows kind of the limits that peer organizations are purchasing from Coalition. You can see 75% are at the $5 million to $10 million mark, and 25% and between the $2 million and $5 million mark. A lot of people will be purchasing the higher limits if they have contractual requirements to do so, or if they have a lot of data that they're holding. That will be another reason why they're having higher aggregate limits. So just something to kind of keep in mind as you look at the different limits available. MCIT's program will sit excess of the underlying policy no matter which option we would proceed with. Coalition rated you I think very appropriately as far as the premium goes, and as far as other counties go, I think the premium was very competitive. So I'd love to just pause here and see if there's any questions.
So the information you just provided is based off the risk assessment that you already did apparently through this coalition group?
Yeah, so the scan is an external scan. There's nothing that is scanning internally. It's just an external scan. Imagine somebody kind of walking around your building and then saying things like, "Oh, your windows are open and your door is open." It's a very outside of your bracket scan, and what they're doing is they're looking at thousands of different endpoints, and they're looking with your domain to see is it on any lists of in the dark web that are of high target. They're just looking at very different things to see is there any signals that are coming from the domain that would imply perhaps denial of service attack ongoing or attempted. They're just looking to see if there's anything that they can see that shows like the house is on fire, and that's what the scan looks like and does. Are there other questions about the type of claims that we're seeing or any of the information that we've provided so far?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. It's a quiet group this morning. So we can send this updated report for you because obviously this one is back from November, and again, like these reports can have a positive can have like false positives and false negatives. It is kind of an outside of the house review, so but nonetheless still can be quite impactful. We've seen some people who have like notifications that they have a software patch that's needed, and so there can be valid things that come forward on these scans. We like to see ones that are kind of boring, to be quite honest, because that means there's nothing that is out there with red signals that they're seeing. So it's actually nice when we see one that is not blaring red and orange and all sorts of chaos. So well done to your team for that. The quotes that Coalition provided are, Mari has those up, and 25,000 retention is the minimum that they can provide on the $1 million, $3 million limits. And I believe the 50K was the minimum that they're able to provide on the $5 million limits. And those are the totals with the taxes and fees included and the different sublimits and items. So you can see that this quote is for 250,000 of funds transfer fraud coverage, and depending on your feeling as to, I don't know how much you are transferring electronically at any one given moment. If that is not an appropriate limit, we could look at talking with Coalition to see if they would consider increasing that to 500,000. But that's their starting point when they provide these terms. Sometimes when we ask a question of how much you are transferring at any one time, the answer is much higher than anticipated, or nothing's being transferred, period, and everybody's still writing checks. And that's pretty rare, but it does happen. So that's the world we live in. So.
Yes, so thank you for going through that with us. We did have on that carrier recommendations. So the page that Laura went through where the 1 in 10-year claims, the 1 in 100-year claims, we had multiple offers returned, but we base our recommendation off of that 1 in 10-year claims. And I want to say it was a little over $2 million on there. So our recommendation would be the $3 million amount. And it looks like the recommendation here is with Coalition. Any questions?
Bill, you want to come up to the mic and You have any information for us?
Good morning.
Morning, Bill.
A lot of questions, really. I went through their scan and looked at everything they look at, and it is a peek from outside. It's kind of like having a review a little bit, which is kind of cool. It's all independently done. You know, we spend a lot of money on the wall, on protection. And I think that is why it's reflecting it with pretty good rates for this. But in what other counties have had where they've had a ransomware attack or something going on, the MCIT coverage is just not there. It's $50,000 divided 10 times. I mean, that doesn't cover the stamps to notify, you know?
So is that what happened with the group of counties north of us that just got hacked not that long ago?
I suppose, yep. MCIT does have a very good cyber tech company that they use to look at what happened and how it happened and how they fix it. Silent, that's their name with a C. Our consultant there, Sean Larson, he's worked with both Silent and Coalition with different counties, and he didn't have any problems with either of them when we took this to him too and had him look over it. I think if we move forward with this, we're kind of a guinea pig. I mean, we're like one of the first counties maybe to do this. Others have looked at it, you know, but I think everybody's kind of waiting for somebody else to do it. I don't know. Any other questions from anybody else? But
We did talk to MCIT and they were fine with being excess coverage where Coalition would be primary, MCIT secondary, basically. They had no issue with that at all.
Probably because they're not gonna pay out much regardless.
We met with MCIT as well, and they are, it is some movement on their part where they're having to endorse their policy to address how they will handle people with other insurance. Most policies have an other insurance clause that tries to point the finger at the other person. So when you're placing multiple lines of coverage, it's important to have them strategically aligned so that when you have an actual claim, you're not going through that finger pointing and you know who you're first reporting to and you know who's first responding. So they are, we had a nice meeting with them, and the product that they have put in place is a good product for a group purchase effort. It's just not enough limits, quite frankly, for the types of claims we're seeing in the industry, but they are very good. It was a very enjoyable meeting. It was my first time meeting them, but they were very knowledgeable, kind people. So.
Anyone else have any questions? Dan?
Bill, MCIT, we know that in recent years, they've had discussion about their exposure on this, whether they're even gonna offer protection or not. Obviously, they do have some. Do we know what their plans are for the future? Are they gonna enhance their coverage? They're gonna get out of their coverage altogether? I guess I'm a little bit concerned about, I like the whole concept of MCIT and AMC, the joint collaborative that we've got. So I'm a little hesitant for us to strike out on our own as being one of the first counties to enter into a private insurance. I would like to see how this works out first. And I'm not so sure that MCIT needs to, I'd really like to see what their intent is going forward, if they're going to enhance their coverage.
I don't think we'll know that until they decide to do that. And the other thing is that MCIT prior to this year was contracting with another company to provide the cyber coverage. And they're taking it on now, and the coverage, if we're hit and multiple counties are hit, we're sharing $10 million.
Pool, yeah.
The pool. And beyond what they'll pay based on everyone else's, we could get hit lightly. Another county could get hit extremely hard and may require more resources. And we may not have enough. If the aggregate came in, let's say it was 20 million. Well, now we're all in trouble. And then that's coming right out of,
Yeah.
reserves and levy to pay those.
I understand that, but also with their other liability they have, as far as their pool.
Mhm.
Certainly they have some diversification in there. For example, buildings. They don't
this
have
is-
enough coverage reserves for every building in the state, because they look at their actuaries and say, well, percentages are there only gonna be maybe a percentage attack or hit or a tornado at one time. So I can see where they have some diversification there. They don't have to have enough reserves to cover every single county at 100%, because not every county is gonna get hit at one time.
That's true.
Just a
I
quick,
think look at, I think we need to certainly have our eyes open here, but I gotta be honest, I'm not ready to commit to anything today. I need a lot more information before I make a decision on whether or not I want to be the first ones to jump into something like this.
I guess I would rather be covered than not. I mean, I don't see a reason to be hesitant to, try to be covered in case we have a bigger issue, because, it's several $1 million to take, quite a big percent of your reserves away.
Mr. Chair, you gotta look at who these companies are targeting too, and Pipestone County is sitting very well with reserves and stuff like that, as opposed to our neighbors. So I think the likelihood of us being a target would be higher than as opposed to a lot of our neighbors.
Because the deep pockets.
Is the deep pockets, and that's something you gotta consider too. So I would rather not fork that over to a ransom company. I'd rather protect ourselves first.
That point.
What, on the funds transfer portion, does it change the quote a lot if that were a bigger number, or what's the issue with that?
it does not change the premium in a substantial manner. It would probably be under, I am guessing it's probably gonna be about maybe $500 to do so. Coalition just recently started expanding and offering that at a higher limit amount. About a year or two ago, capacity was an issue for the cyber market. I think that's also why MCIT's program changed from one carrier to another. And so, but the capacity is no longer an issue in the cyber marketplace. So that is allowing carriers to kind of expand what they're offering on the funds transfer fraud. So I'll get that quote for you. If you have just a moment, I'd love to share how we're starting to, how we see claims. There's two different types of targets when it comes to cyber risk. There's targets of opportunity and there's targets of choice. As a county, you're pretty much both. Your controls, you are scoring well in your controls. So again, kudos on that. But targets of opportunity are those that are going to, like, there's a patch that's not updated, or there's a break in software that hackers know about and you are running that software. That's the type of situation where we're going to see multiple counties hit at one time. Will be a situation where there's a break in an actual software and they're able to access anybody who's running that type of software. That's when we'll start to see situations where we have those large aggregate requiring limits of claims. As Pipestone County in the world in general, as far as all counties, you're probably not like the number one target of choice. You're not like the Boeings and the Amazons of the world who need entire fleets of people to help, combat cybercrime on a daily. But nonetheless, you are somebody that they would find appealing to go after. So just because of data and whatnot. So it's just, I wanted to share how the kind of two different scenarios are out there.
Just as far as Bill knows, we are being probed, prodded, and looked at constantly.
Yeah.
People,
1,000
bad
times a
actors
minute.
are trying to get into our systems as we speak. They're trying all the time to try to find an entryway in here. One thing that we don't do is we pay very few bills by EFT. Electronic funds transfer. I mean, obviously our payroll and things like that is, and that is an opening for someone to come in, a bad actor, say, hey, this is so-and-so. Here's email from Steve, change my, payroll banking account number to this one. And it's not me. That can happen at any time. So we've got to make sure that we're doubling down on confirming with that person, hey, I just got this from you. Did you want to do this? Is this what you're asking? Don't just blatantly do that. We did get hit back in 2018 at one time that was a payroll scam, and we did get hit with that. Just with that. But as far as us paying our bills, fortunately, we do paper checks. You know, a lot of stuff is funds transfer, go to the state back and forth, that type of thing. But as far as paying our vendors, paying Nick's vendors by EFT, we're not doing that.
And the hospital's the same way.
I can't answer that.
With
I
this-
presume
is-
they are.
Is this coverage only for the county or?
This is us. This is the county, not the hospital. Their IT systems are running different. They're through Avera, I believe, out there, aren't they?
Right.
So this is only with us here.
Okay.
Chris, you had a comment?
Well, I've got a lot of comments, really. I missed a, meeting a few weeks back. That was for my job. And that's World Games Protection Conference in Las Vegas. And that was a bunch of different surveillance departments worldwide that come together. We had 22 different countries there for that conference. And the theme of that was cybersecurity. The rates that these hacks and attacks are going up are exponential, 100%, 200% every year. And now it's gotten to the point where there's a voice phishing that's going on now. So with us recording these videos, these guys could record our voices and have Steve call up the auditor's office, and it'll sound just like Steve saying, "Hey, Amanda, write me a check for," yep, it's all with artificial intelligence. So that's the world we're living in, whether we like it or not. And even though I went for games protection, we hardly had anything to do with games. It was all cybersecurity, because that's the world we're living in now. MGM Grand and Caesars were attacked at the beginning of the year for multi-millions of dollars. Yep. So, and that just made me, made the hair stand up on the back of my neck, thinking, about our role here is for the county and everything too. About,
Yes, I'd just like to say, Mr. Chairman, in the essence of time, I know we have a bid opening we need to do here and we're behind on that, and I apologize for the error on this. But I think we should take some time to digest this and bring it back at another meeting to make a decision on it. We want to get a hold of MCIT and see what they say. I'd be happy to get a hold of Tom, Suppers up there, Scott, and those guys, see if they want to have a chat too and see what they say. But
And I think if we could get
they
those
don't have-
additional quotes with the increased funds,
I'm sorry?
I'd like to see some quotes also on the increased funds transfer coverage and whatnot. Where they said it wasn't that much different.
Oh, sure. Laura, did you get that?
Yeah, I heard, yes, I will get that for you in a short order.
Increasing the EFT amount?
Yes, I will get that quote for you and sent over.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Laura. And
I had
thank
one
you,
other
Mary.
quick question. On the quote that they gave us, I see they got taxes and fees of $776. We pay tax on this?
Well, we don't pay any type of state sales tax on any product or project, anything like that, so.
Yep.
This is also goods, it's goods and services, generally not buying a widget here, so.
Yep.
We would be exempt from any state sales taxes. If there's anything else, I don't.
Yep. And the fees, I'd like to see a breakdown of what those fees are.
Sure they can handle that.
I will get, we have to pull our compliance as far as the state goes, but I will do so that we can adjust the fees accordingly.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
The fees that are quoted here are annual, is that correct?
So
That's correct.
Yep. And projecting out, this is for this year's rate. What are we looking at in years in the future? Any guesstimate for premiums?
I wish that cyber was as easy to predict as other lines of coverage. However, we're not seeing much predictability in the property and casualty world right now. I think the cyber carriers are at a place where they're feeling more comfortable with the rates that they're charging. I believe that the modeling that they're able to do is more consistent, so they're able to model the risk more appropriately. That being said, we're seeing some carriers who are increasing by somewhere around 15% annually, and I don't know if that will be the norm or the continuous, but that's what we're seeing right now for some carriers who were previously perhaps too aggressive in their pricing. That's not what I'm necessarily seeing with Coalition, but it is what I'm seeing with some other carriers. So.
Thank you, Laura and Mary for your presentation, and we'll be in touch.
Thanks for having us. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
End our whole meeting.
Out of Zoom is easier. Getting out of Zoom is easier.
Gonna have to cancel screen share maybe?
Is that the red button on the end?
Where's that at?
Right.
I think that kills the whole thing though.
I think so.
I don't want to kill the whole program. I just want to, I think they're off already, aren't they? Or is she still on?
Go over to that green one, Steve.
Here?
You mentioned the AI. I got a solicitation call the other day from peace officers, whatever it was.
Down
And I could have sworn
stop.
something like, hey, you know, wasn't
What?
that sounds like.
Stop
Mike's
and
wife.
walk.
The share.
Yeah, at that conference, they had, cause one of the guys that holds the conference has a podcast, and so that's where they stole all of his voice from. They're like, oh, it's posted online, and he's not from New Zealand, so he has a pretty, unique accent.
Yeah.
Where is my
That
screen?
was hard to duplicate, but they did the same thing. Actually, they used a video stream too, where they were able to project
Faces.
his face. As long as they could get 3 different, front,
Angles, yeah.
and 2 side angles, they were able to mimic his face on a video one.
It is scary.
Okay, we're back. We're here. I don't get how to get rid of her, but.
Well, I guess we'll close session.
Okay.
Like, we're gonna do a bid opening. Okay. I was gonna say who gets to go first, but you gotta be here for both of them, so.
Need his help on this. Right, this is the bid opening for our first culvert contract for 2024. We have 4 bids. We didn't receive any complaints of somebody not being able to make it because of the weather. I see the 2 contractors that get probably 80% of our bids have been submitted, so I feel good about where we're at. One thing I'd like to add on this one is one of these is a 20-foot span, which is a special design. We've done a few before, but it's been a little while, so I think it's possible our estimate might be off if something changed in that market a little bit that we're unaware of. So we kind of estimated numbers on that based on some old data. So just if it's off a little bit, we'll look at it, but I assume that's where it'd be at. So.
And you already looked at the economics of going with 2 10-foots instead of 1 20-foot.
Yeah, we get told what size to use by the hydraulic specialist, so he would consider all of that.
But my point is, if it's a special order for a 20-foot culvert, can we go with 2 10-foot culverts and accomplish the same thing, or is that not apples
It's
to
not
apples?
quite apples to
Okay.
apples. It sounds like it would be, it's not quite.
Okay,
All right, first bid is John Riley Construction out of Morris. Their bid, $1,050,391.55. $1,050,391.55. Next bid, Midwest Contracting out of Marshall.
How many culverts is this for?
3, there's one on the county road kind of in the middle of Grange Township. There's one for Fountain Prairie, and then there's that one that had that failing member that we found last fall.
Okay.
Okay. We do a bunch, I want to be double check. There's multiple lines. But there's 3 locations.
Right.
Right, Midwest bid, $1,044,264.20. $1,044,264.20. Next bid is A&C Excavating out of Marshall. Right, their bid. $994,723.20. $994,723.20. The last bid is R&G Construction. All right, RNG's bid, $1,038,311.20. $1,038,311.20.
20-cent part.
Must be popular. I think we had that opening or two ago. There was a bunch of them. So I don't know what that's all about. Engineer's estimate, $1,364,962. $1,364,062. So, maybe those 20 footers didn't inflate as much as we thought. Either way, these are excellent numbers and I am thrilled.
Good, very good.
Yep. Did. Okay, I guess that being said, I would recommend, awarding to the low bidder contingent on our final review. We have to check the math on all this and make sure all the signatures are there. But
Make that motion.
Okay, is there support?
Second.
Second by Chris. Any other discussion?
So again, low bidders A and C Excavating for $994,723.20.
Yep. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Carried.
Pretty tight range for.
Yeah.
Very nice.
those, last 3, man, that's really tight.
Your engineering estimate must have been off by 20 cents.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm glad you don't send out the estimate to all the bidders.
No, obviously.
And
That's why.
yeah, so, nope, that is wonderful. Excellent.
And again, timing wise, when they can start and so forth, you have to firm that up with them. And
Right, we'll have a pre-construction meeting and everything, probably heavily dependent on when they can get the culverts.
And nothing's really time sensitive on any of these culverts other than the one that we know has got some obvious deficiencies, so.
Right, so, they're usually do us pretty early in the year, historically, as early as they can.
Right.
So, I have no concerns about completion timeframe, so. No, I'm happy, that's good. Otherwise, that's all I have.
You gonna stick around for the closed session? Is there a motion to go into closed session? Is there support for that?
Second.
By Dan? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Yep.
Move to adjourn.
There's a second of that.
No?
Second to adjourn.
Second.
Here for a while.
I'll second.
Might stay here, I believe it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
26.
See you at 1 o'clock.
Yep.
Meeting or?